Hello and welcome to your first lesson. I'm excited to get into this with you. It's Matt again here from Snowboarding.com. And all right, so your first lesson is going to be on creative visualization. Visualization is an extremely powerful tool. If you listen to any interviews on snowboarders, or if you watch the Olympics, or any sport for that matter, and you'll always hear them talk about visualization and how they put themselves, where they want to be in the game. For me as a martial artist, I really study fighters. And if you look at any of the elite athletes like George St. Pierre or Anderson Silva, they'll always talk about visualizing what they want. They'll visualize the win. And even in new snowboard parts, a lot of times when they're talking, they're talking about the butterflies and how they visualize the trick. So visualization is extremely powerful. Jack Nicklaus used to talk about it all the time. One of his famous quotes is, before I take every shot, I go to the movies. Basically, in his mind, he would visualize a shot before he would take it. Michael Jordan used to meditate 30 minutes before each game and visualize the win, visualize the shots, all that kind of stuff. So if the elite level riders are doing it, obviously it's something that you should do as well. Visualization is often taught in sports, from basketball, tennis, pretty much all the way through, especially to Olympic sports. And I have a study here that's going to really drive home this point. There was a study done at the University of Chicago by a professor named Dr. Biazzato. And what he did was he did a study on basketball players shooting free throws. He split them into 3 groups. The first group would shoot the free throws 30 minutes a day for a week. The second group would not step foot on the court and simply visualize making free throws over and over and over again for 30 minutes a day for a week. And group C, they simply didn't step foot on the court, they didn't practice, they didn't visualize, they were the control group. Thank you. Holy. Okay, so group 3 was the control group. At the end of the study, the results were quite astonishing. The group that practiced shooting free throws over and over again improved by 25%. The group that didn't set foot on the court, the control group, they did as expected and they did not improve at all. Now, the group that simply visualized shooting free throws never stood foot on the court, never went to the basketball court, never practiced, didn't do anything, simply visualized over and over again. They improved by 23% by simply visualizing. That's it. So I hope that's enough information for you to realize the power of creative visualization. If you want to look into it yourself, I highly suggest that you take a look online and see some studies. And if you don't believe any of this stuff, that's fantastic. What I would say to you is look into it, because all you'll find is proof and studies. And I don't want to waste a lot of the time on these free lessons or in the course for that matter, trying to prove to you that this stuff works, because I know it does. And when you do a little study on your own, you're going to find that too. And what I've focused on is actually taking all of the best techniques from different sports and different disciplines, combining them together so that you have a plethora of amazing techniques that work, that are simple and easy, and you can implement them instantly. Okay, so visualization. The way you're going to do visualization is there's 2 types of visualization. There's associated or first person visualization, and disassociated visualization or third person. So an associated visualization is when you are looking through your own eyes. So this would be, let's just take a frontside 360, for example. If you can't do one, just imagine that you can, and if you can do one, then we're going to visualize you doing it perfectly. What you want to do is you want to get into the feeling of you doing this trick. So you want to see yourself going down the hill. You want to feel the board underneath you. You want to feel what your legs feel like and your arms and your head. And you want to make it as detailed as possible, but really focus on the feeling of the trick and how it's going to feel when you go off the lip of the jump, the feeling of the rotation and the grab, and then feel the landing, feel, the board underneath your feet again, the wind in your face, and all that kind of stuff. So with associated visualization, you really want to focus on the feeling. And one little trick that I like to tell my clients and my students is that Also focus on the joy of landing the trick, because that can definitely set up a trigger internally to give you more incentive to land it. So the way the unconscious and subconscious works is when you see something, it's going to work harder to create it. Also in your mind, it creates new neural pathways and neural nets that are going to allow you to perform that trick. So let's say you've never picked up a spoon before, and the second you pick up a spoon, your mind is going to create a neural connection. And as it makes this connection, maybe you pick up the spoon a little bit differently, and it makes a new neural connection. And then differently again, and a new neural connection. So now it's going to build a neural pathway or neural net. So now you can pick up the spoon awkwardly, and it's a silly example, but to a kid who's never picked up a spoon, he's got to build all those neural nets. So for you, and you've never landed a 360, or you've never landed a double frontside 1080 double cork or backside triple cork, it's the exact same thing. When you visualize the trick, what's happening is you're actually creating neural connections, neural pathways, and neural nets in your mind by simply visualizing the trick over and over again without even setting foot in the snow. And the real important thing here is that when you're learning a trick, especially a hard one, you're usually, eating it, and you're paying your dues, so to speak, and you fall. So this is really going to dramatically decrease your injuries by visualizing over and over again, by creating these neural pathways in your mind. So the second way you're going to want to visualize is in third person or disassociated visualization. And I would highly recommend that you do this visualization before you try every trick until you have it mastered and you don't have to think about it. So in third person, you're going to think about really the image, and you can really play with this. So you're going to just kind of see yourself do the frontside 360. You can play with the angles, so you can see yourself from in front or behind or above in a bird's eye view, and just watch yourself do the trick absolutely perfectly. Always with any visualization, you want to make sure that you're visualizing yourself doing it perfectly. Now, if you haven't done the trick yet, it might be a little bit confusing for you. So simply just put on a snowboard video, and you can kind of just pretend that you're that snowboarder, and it's going to take out that mental block in your mind for you not being able to do it. So whether it's Jeremy Jones, Sean White, Torstein Horgmo, Haldor, whoever it's going to be. Sorry, Torstein. Whoever it's going to be in your mind, simply pretend you're them, and it's going to take out that mental block, and you're going to know you're going to do it because those guys can do incredible tricks pretty much on command. So if you kind of put yourself in their mindset, you're going to be able to visualize that 360 or that double cork quite easily without any mental hang-ups setting you back. So before you drop in and do a trick, there's a very powerful visualization practice that you can do over and over and over again to make you land tricks with much more consistency, fall a lot less, and basically speed up your progression quite nicely. And all you're going to do is, before dropping in, you're going to visualize yourself in third person. So basically, you're going to watch yourself do the 360. Really focus on what it's going to look like and see yourself do the trick absolutely perfectly. Really focus on the visual. The second part is you're going to do it in first person. And in this one, you're going to really focus on the feeling of doing the frontside 360. So feel the drop in, the ride up, the setup turn, the pop off the lip, flying through the air, landing, and then once again, remember, not only feel the landing under your feet, but feel the satisfaction of getting that trick and overcoming that fear. It's really going to amplify the power of the visualization for you. Okay, so here are some things that can make your visualizations even more powerful. You want to make them as real as possible. So you want to think about all of your senses. So in the real world, we have sight, sound, taste, touch, and smell. Well, you want to think about those internally, and in NLP they call them submodalities. Doesn't really matter, you don't really need to know that, but you want to take all of the senses and bring them into your visualization. So if you've got the time on the chairlift and you're visualizing the 360 or 540 or double cork or whatever it is, once you do those 2 visualizations before you drop in, that's a little bit of a cut and dry and easy way to apply everything. But if you've got a little bit more time, really focus on everything. So feel the board beneath your feet. Hear the sounds of your board underneath you and the wind, brushing across your face. See everything that you're going to see. Feel everything that you're going to feel. Feel the board under your feet. Maybe even kind of taste the saliva in your mouth. That one's not as really effective, but it's still an interesting perspective because you want to make it as absolutely real as possible and putting yourself in the moment. So bring all 5 senses in. The most powerful senses to bring in are visualization and feel. So visual or kinesthetic. So that's why in your pre-trick routine, you're going to do one focusing on the visual, one focusing on the kinesthetic or the feeling, and that way it's going to be the most powerful for you. But if you're on the chairlift and you have a little bit more time, try to bring in all of the feelings, all of the senses to make it as real as possible. So the second tip is you want to always visualize perfection. Always see yourself do it absolutely perfectly with the best style. See, yourself fly through the air from step 1 to the ride away and just see it with absolute perfection. Now, some riders will tell me that when they're trying to do that, they see themselves fall. Well, at the very second that you see yourself fall, just stop the visualization there, rewind, and then start over again. So as long as you don't compound a negative visualization, you're fine. Just come back to the beginning. And if you really can't do it because you haven't done the trick, go back to that tip that I talked about earlier and put yourself in the shoes of somebody who can do it. Maybe your friend can do the trick, so just imagine you're them. Or imagine that you are a professional snowboarder, somebody, whoever your favorite is, put yourself in their shoes, do the visualization, and it should come a little bit easier for you. Okay, one last tip that I'm going to go into a little bit more detail later is about adding a positive statement to your visualization. So you want to it's all about programming your mind and setting an intention. So giving your unconscious mind an intention, it's going to want to create that reality. Anything that you give to your internal mind, your unconscious mind, your subconscious mind, any command that you give it, any intention or direction, it begins to strive to create the result you've asked for. So all you need to do in this process is when you're ready at the top of the hill and you're going to line up your jump, visualize it in third person. Visualize it in third person. It doesn't matter the order. You can mess with it however you like. It's about doing, making your own mental game, but following through the process. And then say a short positive statement like, I can land this trick. This trick is easy. I'm going to stomp this trick. Or something, any words that you want to do to basically set the intention to do the trick, because you want to commit to your trick and you want to do it with as much confidence as possible. So adding that little statement can add that little tiny bit of extra mental game, that little tiny bit of extra confidence, and that little tiny bit of extra unconscious or subconscious power to help you land the trick. So that's it for video 1. I know I rambled a little bit. I can do that. I hope that it was extremely helpful for you. I'm looking forward to our next lesson, which is I'm going to go over the biggest mistakes you're making that could send you to the hospital and how to correct it. So that's a big one. So we're going to get into that in the next lesson. I hope this was extremely helpful for you. If you have any questions, email me.